as they spin. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Clasp and embrace, time on time. Suit jacket straight, glassy eye to glassy eye. Take a breath in, hold it forever. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Dead man dancing forever. Dead man, do you see heaven? Dead man, teach me to dance like you.
Hello. Oh, it's spilling tea everywhere. Hello, welcome. I've just been on live, so he doesn't need to. Hello.
Tell me you're tired. Tell me you like it. So close to the wire. You to lead me in some way. Haven't yet worked out how. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Let me get comfy. Hi, Kirsty. How you doing? Hello, hello. Oh, that's close. We're back, Deb. We're back. Yeah, I'm back. So, impromptu my spiritual journey with Tamara. Going to see if she's on, and it's going to find out about her spiritual journey from day dot to where we're going. As you all know the format, that's how we do it. So let's see if we can't find her. Here she is. Hello.
Hello.
Right. Okay, hang on. Let me just pause this music.
I just had to lower mine.
I don't believe. So, welcome everybody to an impromptu my spiritual journey, which has been a long time coming, and I've caught Tamara completely off guard. But we love a spiritual journey. There's been many have happened. So this is season 2 of my spiritual journey episode. I can't even remember now anymore because there's been so many. Tamara, welcome to coming on my spiritual journey and sharing your journey from the beginning. So just tell the people, if anybody's watching on Tamara's side, please give me a follow. On my side, please give Tamara a follow. How the format works, we do the interview, then we do the top 10 things that Tamara does and doesn't believe in, that I've got a list of, and why she doesn't believe in it, if she does, if she doesn't, either way. And then there's a Q&A at the end for you guys to ask Tamara questions, as long as they're sensible, otherwise there's no point. And then we go from there. So Tamara, tell the people who you are and what you do.
My name is Tamara. I am a evidentiary blue sealed medium located in Alberta, Canada. I am a coach. I am a Reiki master, level 3. I am a psychic investigator, which means I help law enforcement across the world work on missing persons cases. I just wrote and published 2 books in 2021 and 2022 that I'm really, really proud of. And I am working on number 3. I love to connect. At the end of the day, I truly do. But I truly have felt like I'm going through what I would call a spiritual awakening, a new level, where my heart is being called to truly do God's work in every aspect of that. Does that mean I'm going to stop reading? No, because God was a medium. Jesus was a medium. And I feel like I'm here to be a conduit and to be a messenger, deliverer, friend, confident, someone to be there for people. I'm also a life coach and a spiritual life coach. So that's kind
quite
of
the resume. That's quite the resume. So let's go back. Let's go way back. So in your family, your parents, grandparents, great grandparents, has there ever been a lineage of now, would you say you have a gift or an ability? What would you describe it as?
I describe it as an inheritance.
So there is some history in your family who have divination. Tell us a bit more about that.
So my grandma's sister, during the Holocaust. They were being taken to what was supposed to be the gas chambers, but they were directed and rescued by a group of missionaries that came in to take them to the concentration camp, to save their lives. And as my grandma and her sister, the only living people left in her family, because everyone else had been taken away and sent to heaven, my aunt told one of the Nazi soldiers that the war was ending, and why were they choosing to do this. Back then, in those times, if you did things like that, you were considered a witch, especially if they knew the answer to that. And they killed my aunt in the street right there in front of my grandma. So
So
my
you're,
grandma already knew this, and my great grandma or great great grandma also had a gift.
so I'm assuming your family were Jewish.
My
Yeah.
grandma's Jewish. My grandfather was Catholic. My second grandfather was Mennonite, the one I grew up with.
So from that point, where is it auntie who was, would you say
My
psychic?
my great aunt. Yes.
Great aunt. So where does that carry on in your family history? Who did it skip a generation, or who did it go to next that you
Yeah.
know of?
So it from what I understand, it didn't hit my grandma. It hit her grandma or her mom's mom. So it skipped two generations, didn't or three generations, then hit my grandma's older sister, then skipped a bunch of generations and hit me.
Right. Okay.
And now
So
my granddaughter, who's 12, turning 13, also has gifts.
so at what age did you realise something was a bit off, a bit funny? You know,
Four,
what was your part four?
four,
And
three,
what was your first experience of four?
years. I could see things. I at 3 years old, you try to tell people like I see this or whatever. People didn't really listen. I was often told it was a imaginary friend. I was often seen by myself in a corner, coloring, playing with toys, talking to something that wasn't there. They had sent me through numerous tests at doctors. Doctors were like, just imaginary friends, things like that. And at 5 was the first time I saw my first full apparition. I have
Take your
dyslexia, so
time.
pardon guys.
Take your time. There's
Um,
no rush.
my first spirit. I'll say it that
So
way.
at the age of 5, you saw your first full-blown apparition. Where
Yeah.
was it, and who was it, if you knew, or what they looked like, and how did you make you feel?
I was actually with my grandfather. I lived the first 5 years of my life with my grandparents, and my grandfather was more like a father figure to me. So I was the first granddaughter, and I was always considered a tomboy, even at that young of age, um, which I don't understand to this day, but okay. But I would always hang out with my grandfather. That's who I felt safe with. And he was teaching me, he was a carpenter. So he loved to build things and create things out of wood. And he taught me how to make my first bird feeder. And we were in the workshop, and I have a picture in my first book about where it was and things like that. Um, and I remember sitting there, and I was showing my grandpa, and I was asking him for different things and what do I do? And uh, I closed my eyes at one moment, and I blinked, and I looked up, and I saw this man standing behind my grandfather. And I, like, to this very day, when I close my eyes, I still see him. He was, tall, skinny. He was wearing a green shirt or jacket. He had green pants on, black boots, a backpack, and he had his hand on my grandfather's left shoulder. And he kept looking
Okay.
at me and smiling. And he didn't say anything at first. And I was just kind of like, Grandpa, do you see that? And my grandfather was like, see what? And then he would
Right.
disappear again. And then he would come back. And it was like every time my grandfather turned, he would disappear. And
How
then
did you
as
feel
soon
about that? How did that make you feel at 5
I
years
was
old? What was
weirded
your
out at first, I'm not going to lie, but I was never, there was no fear. I had no moment of fright. And let me tell you guys, up until this
yeah,
year, I've never watched horror movies. So this year is my
really?
year of like watching scary movies, things like that, right? So I never had a fear in any of that moment. And it was such a blessing, but yet such like, what is going on type confusion, right? And so I
Yeah,
said to my grandfather again, I was like, oh, he's back. And my grandfather goes, who? And I said, the man. And he goes, baby girl, there's no one here. And I said, there is. And I was getting mad by this time. Like,
yeah,
first of all,
yeah,
under the purple hair, y'all, I'm a ginger. So when people don't believe me, it almost annoys me, right?
yeah.
Because I'm adamant on what I'm seeing. And he just kept denying it and saying there's no one here. And the man looked at me again and he smiled and he said, my name's Louis. Say that. And I was like, Grandpa, his name is Louis. Um, and my grandfather just kind of shook it off and said, it's your imaginary friend. This must be a new one. And he looked at me again, the spirit, and he said, tell him not to use it. Tell him to put it down. And my grandfather had a nail gun in his hands. And I told my grandfather, you're supposed to put that down. He says, put it down. And my grandfather wasn't listening. And within 30 seconds of me saying it one more time, the gun went off. And it missed my grandfather's head by this much.
So at that age of 5, that's quite a prominent thing to happen in a child's life at the age of 5. Now, from that 5-year-old girl, was that continuous through the rest of your years to your teens, or did it stop? Did it come back? Seeing people? Did other things
It
develop?
from what I can remember back then, because you got to understand, I've gone through a lot of trauma. I've gone through some,
Yeah,
definite life experiences and life lessons, but I remember it steady until about the age of 10, because 10 or 11, because I remember always being sent to the doctor, always being checked out and having to go and see child psychologists and tests because they honestly believed that there was something physically, mentally wrong with me. And by 11, I mean, they had put me on different medications to try and stop it. But by 11, it kind of went away. And I want to say from 11 till probably 13, I felt like a normal kid.
what?
And then at 13 years old was when everything changed.
So, between that age of 5 and 10, and going to all these psychiatrists and seeing people, how did that make you feel? Did you find that hard to deal with? Did you find it was soul destroying because your family not believing you? I mean, because that's quite intense to go through all that therapy to try and convince you that what you're seeing isn't really what you're seeing. Was that what it
Yeah.
felt like? How did that
I
make you
felt
feel?
I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I felt like, why is this happening? What is wrong with me? Am
Did
I
that
crazy? I
yeah,
you know
did that going through all that, even though you hadn't this gift, did it build up resentment for you and your family? Did you feel resentment towards your family, or did you
no.
understand why they were doing that? Because they didn't
I
understand you.
I remember hearing conversations um when I was like 5 or 6 and overhearing, and I remember my grandfather telling me, like, even after that moment, like, just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. It wasn't until I was 16 where I really found out why it was supposed to be a secret and why no one was supposed to know. And that was my grandmother told me that she knew one of her grandchildren would probably be born with the gift. And her fears was what she had witnessed when she was 15 take place with her sister, even though we were living in Canada, that the same thing
Mm.
would happen to them.
So between those ages of 10 and 13, obviously you're saying basically everything sort of closed.
Yeah.
What triggered it at the age of 13 to come back? What happened
What?
for you to, yeah, what happened at 13 to make that? Because you could have just stayed a normal girl, lived your life, all your teens, Maybe in the future you'll go, but what at 13 triggered you to come back into that?
Um, I don't know if it was necessarily triggered, but an event took place when I was 13 years old. I was living in a foster home and I had woken up. It was about, I want to say, probably 7, 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And I heard a bang in the bathroom in the hallway. And I went to the hallway and I found my brother, my adopted brother, passed. Um,
How old was he?
and it was one of the hardest things to, number one, see,
Mm.
but number two, to experience. And I handled it so calmly. And I think, I don't know if it was just I was in shock, but like I calmly went out. I went to the bedroom. I told I woke my foster parents. Um, and it was that night that I remember hearing his voice and trying to find him in the house.
Right.
And it was it was surreal. And I just found, like, I went to lay down in my bed. I remember at one point, and I just laid there and I felt a hug come over me, almost like someone grabbed me like this and said, "I'm okay. Thank you." And
How old was
we did try
how
to
old was
save
your
his life.
brother? How old was
17.
he? 17. Wow. Um, when you said about when you saw, so if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
you saw him laying there, and obviously his life had left him by the sounds of it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
At that point, do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah.
So your initial reaction wasn't very, the emotions didn't take over for you. What did take
No.
over for you? What did it? What
This
did it? What
feel,
did it feel like?
honestly, this feeling of calmness. That's the only way to describe it. And I don't, to this day, I don't understand. Like, I truly don't understand
Yeah,
why or how or what. But at the same time, as much as that experience happened, and yes, that brought me into spirit, my
yeah,
only feeling was I had to numb this feeling to get
yeah.
rid of it. Hence started
Okay.
my life of substance and addiction.
What, from the age of 13?
Yeah.
Now, leading into that, obviously, by the sounds of it, Tamara, your life up to that point sounds like it's been a roller coaster of emotions
Uh,
and dealing with so many different things at such a young age. But your spiritual side of you, now we get to the whole God and Jesus and your journey on that side of things. At that time,
yeah.
was that anything religious involved in that, or was this just a spiritual journey you were going through at the time?
Because I was in foster care, I had been through many, many different faiths, religions.
Yeah,
At that time, I was living in the Salvation Army home when it happened.
yeah,
I was a junior soldier, part of the Corps Cadets, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think even in that grief, I just, I just knew what I had been taught, faith wise,
yeah,
and so think the comfort came from that, to be perfectly honest.
yeah.
And
No, I
then
understand that.
it was just, there was so many different things that took place even in that time frame, that I always knew there was something more.
Hmm.
I knew I didn't feel like I belonged, and even at the churches I didn't feel like I belonged there, because I felt like I was not from here. I was from somewhere else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So at 13, and you said then this sort of led you into a spiral of, you don't have to talk about it, and I completely understand, of
I
addiction
got
and things like that. I know you're an open book, but did
yeah.
you find going into that, did that stop your spiritual senses, your ability? Did it heighten it, or did it completely dull it down?
I think there were moments where it definitely, I wouldn't say disappeared, but became numb. So I didn't have to feel it. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to see it. I didn't have to hear it. I didn't have to, you know what I mean? Like, there was nothing in that aspect. Um, but I also feel like, as much as it tore me away, it was almost like a spiral, or like being on I'm this is the only thing that pops into my head right now. So this is
Yeah.
being spiritual one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it's that feeling of being in a meat stretcher or like a sausage maker or whatever where they stretch
Yeah.
everything. It's that
Yeah.
feeling of feeling stretched in different directions. And I think that's where I was at that point. I was just
Mm.
feeling like I'm being pulled here, and people are telling me this and that, and to do this and to that. And I just wanted to not do anything. I wanted to disappear because in that hurt, in that grief, in that sadness, and foster homes and being ripped away from your family and
Mm.
all those different experiences, I think everything just kind of piled into one. And all I could think of was, how do I get rid of this feeling? How do I
And
not
that,
feel?
yeah, and that led you into addiction.
Yeah.
So, at your height of your addiction, how old were you at the height of your addiction? How old were you at the height of your addiction?
31.
Wow. So from 13 to 31. And I've got to ask you, in all that time you had that addiction, and that's a battle and a half for anybody to get through. And obviously, that emotionally, that must have made you feel so bad because you've come through so much. At any point in that addiction, how close did you come to like
To,
my life is over?
I'm done.
Yeah.
I OD'd 10 times.
Wow.
I I'm many occasions, different ways. You just want it to go away.
Yeah. But look at you
You just
now.
want
This is what I mean. If there's ever a story of somebody overcoming something so severe to then lead their life and own 200 decks of cards, which is extortionate, to come through all that and then to fully embrace your spiritual side. Now, during that time, was there anything spiritual left in you? Did you still see things, hear things?
yeah,
And how did that, and was there any comfort from that spiritual side during that whole time of your addiction?
absolutely. All the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time. There was not even in those moments of you know the addiction taking me out. And the thing about addiction is there's three ways you can leave this earth.
Mm.
You can leave it by jails, institution, or physical death.
Yeah.
That's the life of addiction. And I think for me, I had to hit my rock bottom.
Yeah.
There were many people in that time period that tried to get me into like juvenile detox and
Yeah.
treatment and you know back background retraining type events and things like that. And then I'm discovering, you got to remember too, between the ages of 13 and 32, I'm trying to find me. I'm
Yeah.
trying to find out where I fit in, who I identify as, my gender, like am
Yeah.
I not necessarily my gender, but I guess my identity,
Yeah.
am I straight? Am I bi? Am I a lesbian? Like what am I? How do I fit in? And so I've got that going in. I've got toxic relationships like no tomorrow
Yeah.
because I had a longing for that feeling of belonging, that feeling of being needed and wanted at the same time going through that transition. Right.
And
So, um,
yeah, that
yeah,
feeling of belonging, is that because of your childhood?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But on the reverse of that, during that time, which is obviously a really difficult time in anybody's life, to come through what you've come through is amazing, and it takes absolute strength because we all have our weaknesses, all of us do,
Absolutely.
and sometimes to get to the bottom of where you have to get right to the bottom to then get yourself back out of that takes incredible strength and foresight. Did you find that your spiritual side helped you get through your addiction?
No,
No, no, no. I
no,
just wonder. I just wondered if that
no.
was if that helped
Honestly,
you.
I think it was just, when you wake up on a hospital bed and being told this is the 10th strike And that's literally what I was told by the emergency room doctor that had seen me every other time that this had happened. And he said, you are no longer in fight or flight.
Wow. Was that the wake up call?
Yeah,
And you turned your life around.
absolutely.
And
I registered
that could have been
myself.
easy.
I put myself in detox from that
Yeah.
hospital. I didn't even leave that hospital. I went from that hospital in a cab that was paid for, and I arrived at detox. I did 14 days in detox, not 7. And before even leaving that detox center, I was registered into a treatment center where I spent the next year.
Wow. And during that year of you detoxing, which is never easy, especially for when you've gone 20 odd years or more,
Yeah.
20 years, during that time of detoxing, obviously you would have gone through so many different emotions. Was there anything spiritual at that point in time during that
Yeah.
year that helped you? Tell us about that.
There was a moment, and I was doing step work with my sponsor, and I'd been about 6 months into my recovery. And I remember a moment in our session, and I just looked at her and I went, I have a bigger purpose. And she goes, huh? And up in that till that point, like, let me tell y'all, I was like this. I'm not doing this. This is boring. This is stupid. This isn't gonna work. Right. And I just looked at her and I went, I have a bigger purpose. I've made it 6 months. I've never made it 6 months clean. I've made it
Mm.
6 months. I can do another 6 months. She's like, stop right there. You're setting yourself up for failure, she says.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Focus today. And I think it was
yeah.
in that moment. And I remember going back to my room and just throwing my hands up and saying, I surrender. I surrender. Like, there's a bigger purpose, there's a bigger reason I'm here, and I surrender. And did I stay surrendering? Absolutely not. There were moments when I like walked away and was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
but there was delight. There was a feeling of life. And I got to my 1 year and I got released, and they were like, my counselor, addiction counselor, said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to graduate. And she's like, what? And I said, I want to graduate. And she's like, from what? And I was like, I never finished high school. She's like, you're 32 years old. I said, I'm going back to high school. And I went back to high school, and I did normal high school with 17 and 18-year-old kids in a senior secondary school, community school. And I graduated the top of my class a year later in 2016. And I went back into another treatment, an outpatient treatment program for the first year after high school. And I just started to feel life again, and I started to feel connection again. And I started playing with cards again, and praying and making a connection to source. And I learned how to do yoga. Maybe not the best, but I learned how to do it. I fell a couple
Body of
times,
man.
right? The
So
human body should not.
was that the first time in 20 years that you because obviously with addiction it's to block out trauma sometimes and to deal with the
Yeah,
things that you don't want to deal with. Was that the
yeah,
first time in 20 years that you actually could feel again who you
yeah,
were and
yeah,
yourself?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I fell in
fantastic.
love. I fell in love with life. Maybe
Yeah.
I didn't love myself at that point, but I had fallen in love with life.
So
And
in
I knew I had
2016, you were on your back on your cards. At that point,
mhm,
how many decks did you have then?
10.
Seriously. Right. Now, just to everybody to clarify, Tamara's up to 210 decks now, and that was
No,
2016, 16,
211.
17. That's only like
211.
5, 6 years, and then she's up to 210 decks.
211.
We sometimes we swap one addiction for another, but this is a better one. We like this one a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started getting your cards out again. Um, what was your process? Did you find yours? How did you? Obviously, you have spirit guides. Do you know? So you got your cards out. Where did you go from there? What happened?
Nothing. Played with the cards. I looked at the pictures. That's pretty much what I did. And then I went to an event. I was part of a webinar, and I won tickets to go to a weekend in Banff called Connecting with Spirit. And I didn't
Yeah.
know what to expect. or
Yeah.
anything. And I went and I experienced it. And it was that weekend on December 27th, 2016, where I truly just blossomed. I came home, I sat on my couch after that weekend, and I had 12 spirits take form in my house. And I was like, who the heck are you? Why are you here? And all they kept saying was, we're your team and you're safe.
12.
12 different
That's a
spirits came
lot.
to the corner of my house. And it was funny because I was showing my friend the inside of my house because it was just after my marriage had ended. I'd kicked my
Yeah.
husband out and taken back my power. And
Yeah.
I was like, I did. And I was showing her, and she's like, okay, I don't like that corner. And I was like, why? She's like, there's a portal there. And I was like, no, there isn't. I was like, you're crazy. And I sat back down in the couch and we were having a conversation. And all of a sudden, she said, I froze. It was like the screen had froze. So literally, she was staring at this. And I zoned out. And it was in that moment that I saw one angel and then two angel, and they literally had wings. Like, I was like, am I tired? Did I have like one too many sips of that glass of wine? Like, you go into that moment of like, am I losing my shit right now?
What would
Like,
you
is this
class that
real?
as? If you
Pardon?
could put that whole experience in a nutshell, what would you say it was? A spiritual awakening,
A
or
spiritual,
yeah?
100%.
I'm going forward from that. That did that give you the confidence to really embrace your spiritual side?
Absolutely.
So you got your cards out. You started with your 10 decks, which I haven't even got
I
10
quit.
decks.
I quit my job.
Just like that.
Hmm.
Do you think that was okay? No, you quit your job, which is quite a rash thing to do. But I like your confidence because I wish I could do that, but I can't. But you did. So my point is, so you quit your job and you said, right,
after
I'm going to
two
read to
years,
people.
after 2 years of working at this place, after I got back from that weekend in Banff, I called my boss on the last day in Banff and said, here's my 2 weeks notice. I'm going to open up my own business.
And
And
so you did.
he literally looked at me and went, you got to give a written notice. And I went, fine, I'll be home tomorrow. I'll drop it off. And I quit. And I only worked a week though after that. I worked a week. It was 7 a.m. Hi, Michelle. It was 7 a.m. On the Sunday morning, and I walked into the manager's office. I took off my hat. I went to the washroom. I changed my shirt. I folded it up, and I put my name tag and I handed it to him. And I said, legally, I have to give you 1 week's notice. Courtesy, I have to give you two. I'm done. And I
Okay. So
walked.
how did so did you just know you had to do this, or was it a
Yeah.
gamble?
No, I knew that I wasn't happy, and my happiness is my top priority now.
Yeah. Okay.
My happiness and making sure that I'm okay and I feel okay with my life and what I'm doing. And I was just tired. I was tired of living up to the expectation of others. And I knew I had to do something to give my life purpose, because at that point I was an employee of someone.
Okay. So obviously you left your job and
Yeah,
you're reading cards, correct? So if you could give anybody who wants to start reading cards, what's your top three tips?
do it.
Yeah, what three tips have you got for somebody who might?
I don't got tips. I mean, go to the store, feel the deck that you're drawn to. Um,
How can you
don't
have
worry
I can?
about the thoughts of others saying, oh, you have to have your first deck bought for you. That's bullshit. I've bought
Yeah.
my first deck. It was my
You
second deck
actually
that was given to me.
correction. You've bought 210 decks. This is more of that.
No, actually, I haven't. I've only actually bought 197.
Oh, that's fine then. That's
The
perfect.
rest,
So,
the rest.
so would you? So on your card reading, you said you looked at the pictures. Now, obviously, there is a guidebook with cards, right? And I don't suppose you use it. I get that. But if you read the guidebook,
No. I do use the book. There are
oh,
times
okay,
when yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing, especially
yeah,
if
go
you
on,
get a
please.
brand when you get a brand new deck. I have a brand new deck. So 1 second.
211. This would be probably.
Oh shush. Okay. This was purchased for me from Tracy out of Scotland.
Bless you, Tracy from Scotland. What's this deck called?
It's called Angelic Lightwork, Healing Oracle, Healing Magic, and Manifestation with the Archangels. So first and foremost, the minute I get a new deck, I look at it.
Uh-huh.
And if I don't smile, it
Like
goes
a
in the...
kid in the toy shop.
If I pick it up, this is how I do it. I'm
Yeah,
not even kidding.
show me.
It doesn't matter if it's cards or crystals. So I have like this little tiny deck here. So if I pick up a deck, I pick up another deck. Because if there's two decks I'm kind of drawn to, I'll pick them
Yeah,
both up. I'll hold them and I'll look at them.
yeah.
If it doesn't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling, it goes back on the shelf. And the ones that give you
Oh,
warm, fuzzy feelings, your face shows that joy. Your heart flutters. And you buy it. Or you get
so,
it.
so when you're reading for somebody, do you let your spirit guides help you read for people as well?
Absolutely. I do not go into a reading without inviting my team.
Yeah.
I am simply a messenger, a conduit for the other side.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
truly live my life as a conduit. I don't do the readings. I work with spirit. I work
Okay.
for spirit.
So let me ask you this question. There's been a lot of talk about one particular person on TikTok called a guy called Jesse King, Paranormal Emporium, who says you cannot do readings through TikTok. What's your opinion on that?
Absolutely, you can. It's energy.
Right, because he said, and I'll quote what he said. Like, so if you were doing a live and somebody said, "Give me a reading, please," because everybody manners cost nothing, and please is a very important word when you're asking psychics to give you a free reading, free or paid, it's still the same. He would say his opinion is that if you were doing that, Tamara, you're a bullshitter and a scammer. So
No,
it's energy, isn't it?
for
Because
energy.
it's true. Yeah,
I provide Reiki. So yesterday, by the way, Matt, you're about to be really, really proud of me. Just saying.
I'm proud
So
of you anyway.
I got certified as a Reiki master. I completed my master
Congratulations,
3.
sister.
Thank you. My master 3 level in February of 2021. I have been doing free readings or free sessions,
Yeah,
free heal since then because
yeah,
I didn't feel like I could learn and charge. I felt like I needed to learn. I needed to experience about a
yeah,
year
yeah,
before I even put a price on it.
yeah.
And I did my first session yesterday, paid.
Oh,
And it was
fantastic.
a distance Reiki. And it was the most incredible experience this woman has ever had. She lives 2 provinces away. We did it via Zoom. So she was on the phone. And then I put the phone at the top head of the bed that I do
Yeah,
my Reiki. From the other side of these shelves
yeah.
is a Reiki room. Um, and she woke up this morning for the first time in 3 months, 3 to 4 months, of having a concussion without a migraine.
And there you go, people. That is why Reiki is so really good. And the guy on TikTok who said that Reiki is demonic is talking utter shit. Utter shit. Anyway, so I'm happy for you. I'm always proud of
Yeah,
everybody.
can I just emphasize that for a minute because I wonder if this person believes in God and Jesus and his healings. Because if he does, then he would understand that Jesus laid his hands on people and healed them, which
So
is
have you
Reiki.
on the Reiki because you know I love my Reiki. This is my thing.
I I
Did
know.
you find that Reiki changed your life in any way? Or yeah,
Absolutely. I felt like when I went through the course and I did those sessions and I did those healing things and I applied the Reiki even to my own self and
yeah.
my animal, I felt like I had the strongest connection to source.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're doing Reiki healings, whether it's on yourself or someone else, or just doing a healing scan, body scan of your body and your energies and your Reiki or your
Mhm.
chakra wheels and realigning them and making them spin
Yeah.
again and clear that cloudiness, there is a connection that is like no other.
Yeah.
Absolutely like no other.
Totally agree with you.
And,
And so I'm always proud of you, Tamara. You don't have to ask me to be proud of. Well, congratulations on becoming a Reiki master. It's a wonderful journey, and I know that you understand the passion, the discipline, the Reiki principles of what Reiki is in people's lives. It's not a get
mm,
quick rich scheme. It's about
mm,
healing people. Yes, we do charge, but most of our charges are reasonable compared to some people. So
mm.
people who do Reiki and don't take it seriously, I'm coming for you. That's a joke. I am. So carry on the spiritual journey. So you started. It's about you, not me. So you did your card readings. You got into spirit. You used that. And did you feel? At what point did you feel this is me?
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. Do you feel the addiction years robbed you of your spiritual journey, or do you think that because this is an interesting point? Do you believe in fate, or do you believe that was your pathway that you had to go before you got
I
to this
believe
point?
I chose my life lessons before
Right.
I even incarnated here as a spiritual being to have a human experience. I believe all the trauma, childhood trauma I went through, and it was intense. It was unspeakable. It never should have
Mm.
happened. And I went through a
Yeah.
time of blaming myself. I believe addiction. I believe homelessness. I believe every single thing, bad marriages, abuse, the whole nine yards from by my spouses. I believe that everything that I went through, I chose to experience it, to learn
Yeah.
from it, to grow from it,
Yeah.
and to be able to help someone else that might be going through it.
Yeah. So do you th- do you think that if everybody's living in addiction, do you think they've got to find their own way out of it? Or do you think that spiritual, like Reiki and healing and help people in the spiritual world, could help more people living with addictions?
I think everyone's journey is different. I I I don't feel I have a right to make that call. I feel like,
Mm.
and only because I've got the experience in addiction, and I feel like
Yeah.
it wasn't until I found that I had had enough that
Yeah.
I could get
Yeah.
clean. I had to have enough. I had to hit my rock
Yeah.
bottom. I had to have no other way out
Yeah.
but to get clean.
Yeah.
And I literally lost everything. I lost my kids. I lost my family at one point. Like everyone turned their back on me because they would rather grieve me while I was alive because they knew that was what was next,
Yeah.
and let me go in order for me to find myself. Were they praying for me? Absolutely. Were they reaching out and telling me they love me? Absolutely. But there was still moments where no one enabled me. No one helped me out financially, and I had to
Yeah.
learn how to do it on my own.
Yeah. It's a complete
I had to
role.
make
Yeah. It's literally climbing out from the bottom to get not even to, I don't know the analogy top, getting to the top, just getting back into life.
yeah.
So you 2017, you're doing your cards, you've quit your job, you're like, I'm not doing this. Were you not scared?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about it. So
And scared,
you started doing
scared,
all your readings. Hi Lena.
um not sure what I was gonna do because I literally had $500 in my bank. Like that was my paycheck when I quit. I
I still wish
literally
I had your guts.
I literally listen, I first of all I'm a Gemini, which means I don't think things through all the time. I make spontaneous, really quick decisions. I take risks, but I've already fallen to the bottom once. There's only either up or down that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And at some point, you just have to say, I deserve happiness.
Yeah.
I deserve peace of mind. I deserve to know. I started with a Facebook group for my business that led to
Yeah.
me developing, 7 months later, a Facebook page. I have gone through 7 Facebook business pages because I just keep revamping them or have
Yeah.
chaotic technology mishaps take place. But Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so there was different moments that took place, but I went through a lot of revamps. I went through a lot of different parts of my journey. Um, and I know that everything has led me to this. Was the first year hard as F? Absolutely. Absolutely. But what doesn't, and I firmly believe in this now, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah. 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 So in like the space of 7 years up to this day, you've done a lot, haven't you? So you've written your first book. Now, what's your first book called?
Bend Don't Break, A Spiritual Journey.
What made you write that book?
Because
Oh, there
I
we
felt
go.
like I've read biographies of different people, and don't get me wrong, I love biographies, but I wanted to write one about life lessons, and I wanted to write one from my experience, because I can only share from what I've gone through.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't want to write a boring book that someone's going to pick up. They're going to read once and be like, oh, yeah, okay. But I wanted to create something that would help people on their journey. And one of the things that I know, because I've experienced it, is how many times in my life I have bent but not broken. Even in
Yeah.
addiction, even in almost losing my life quite a few times. I didn't break. I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get to live a life, right?
Yeah.
And so I wrote it from a place of my spiritual journey. And I truly feel like my mom, who I know is on the other side, took part in helping to write this. After every chapter, it's 11 chapters. I like the number 11. I'm not sure why, but I do.
Yeah.
I do know why, but anyways. 2 and 1. But every single chapter, after every single chapter, there's some notes, there's some questions to ask for you to dive deep. There's pictures, because I love picture books. I really do. I feel like I learn more from looking at a
Yeah.
picture than I do anything else. And it was my way of saying, hey, here's my story. Read it, don't read it, use it as a paperweight, use it as, I don't know, something to get stuck out of a hill from. I don't care.
How did it feel when you wrote the last chapter and the final words of that book? How did it feel?
I think I was in awe.
Of
And I
what?
never read it.
What?
I never
You've never
read
read it?
No, I've read it now since
Right.
publishing it. But even after I never read it through. I let my editor take over. She handled things. And after every chapter, she was like, good. Fix this spelling mistake. Fix this spelling mistake. She's like, here's the thing. She's like, you were authentic. You spoke from the heart. You spoke the truth. You spoke from conviction. She's like, I wouldn't change it. She's like, why change the truth? Your truth.
So
And
if
the
people
coolest
want,
part about this is that
yeah.
I was told I could write a book because I have dyslexia.
Well, yeah. Tell me, I'm dyslexic as well, so you can do anything's possible.
Right?
So if people, we don't want to get any spoilers away.
Even is bad spelling on the back. And I
But
didn't change it. Don't
but
care.
that's what makes it you.
Absolutely.
Those little imperfections are what makes it special to you, because that's who you are.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're looking for a good book, because no spoilers, go check out. It's on Amazon, isn't it? I think Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazon.
And then you wrote a second book. Deb, I think it's on Amazon. What's this book called?
So the second book came from actually while still writing the first one. I
Okay.
I
Greedy.
had this because I like to take on a lot more things than I can handle most of the time.
It's on Amazon, isn't it?
And when creative juices are flowing, you go with it. And
Hmm.
I was going through a transformation here on the app,
Yeah.
and I was trying to come up with a new name. I wanted to build a community. I wanted to create a hashtag, and I wanted to do all this. And by the time I reached chapter 11 in this, I was like, okay, I still don't have a name for this book. Like, it has literally no name. So I went
Yeah.
into meditation and I said to Spirit, can you give me the name? That's all I'm asking. Just lead me to the name.
Yeah.
And they went, it's going to link to TikTok. And I was like, no, it's not. No, we're not going to do that. No, no. And they said, rise up. And I was like, rise up. So I stood up because I'm like, I'm getting told to rise up. So I stood up. And then I said out loud, rise up. And when I did that, my Alexa went on and the song Rise Up by Andra Day came on. And I
Hmm.
listened to the words and it truly describes my journey. And I was like, okay, rise up with Tamara, because I know what it's like to go along life alone and
Yeah.
not feeling wanted and not feeling like you have someone in your corner or walking beside you. And I wanted that same experience to be with my friends, my followers, my clients. I wanted them to
Yeah.
know that they always had someone beside them instead of in front of them, leading the way, or behind them, pushing them.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
wanted to walk beside them so I could walk equal to them.
Yeah.
Because even though I may have these gifts, even though I may have these abilities, I'm equal to everyone else. I'm still a human. I'm here having a
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
experience as much as everyone else. And so then I was like, okay, but what is Rise Up with Tamara? And Rise Up with Tamara is moving forward
Yeah.
on your spiritual journey, your life journey, the reason you're here.
Yeah.
And so this became Rise Up with Tamara, moving forward on your journey journal. And every single page talks about how to journal, why you journal. There's even parts in the back to journal. There's
Yeah.
parts in the back with different lists, goal lists, bucket lists, different gratitude lists, things like that that you can write. There's even a meditation that I wrote in here.
There you go. So, in this space of 7 years, which has been, you've done so much and achieved so much. Um, it sounds like you're in a really good place now, where you're happy and confident, and I think in some ways complete to a certain extent. Not confident, but do you feel more complete in yourself?
In myself, complete? Yes and
Yeah.
no. I still feel like I still have some holes to fill in my life,
Which is
but
yeah,
I trust divine, and I trust that in perfect timing things will happen. Um, am I confident? I should be, because I'm a confident life coach, certified. However,
okay. I can't hear you. A minute. I can go on.
can you hear me
No.
now?
Oh,
Okay.
your voice is not moving with your mouth. That's weird.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. How about now?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me ask
Um,
you. You said at the
Go ahead.
beginning of your intro into my spiritual journey that you worked with the law enforcement on finding missing people. Is that correct? Is that right? Tell me a bit about that. How do you get involved in that? I've got to ask.
Um,
Have
I
you actually
tell people,
found some people as well?
yeah. I have helped on a couple of missing persons cases. Um, I took this certification course through my mentor, and I just had faith. I had trust. I got certified, and I put it out there. I just put it on different groups and said, if you need help with a missing something, let me know. I'm available. I don't charge because it's disrespectful to charge.
Mm.
I help on missing persons cases. I help on missing lost thing cases.
How do you
Um,
do that, Tamara? What tools do you use? Is it yourself or divination? Do you use a pendulum? What
to
do you use?
help on the missing persons or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lost items. On missing persons,
Both. Yeah, let me know.
I go into meditation. I literally shut down my business for as long as I
Yeah,
plan on being working on that case. There are moments where I will get a name or get it, like, be contacted by an immediate family member,
yeah,
or law enforcement, because those are the two that I will accept from,
yeah.
and ask to work on something. And I will go to my spiritual team in meditation and say, is this a go? And they will show me either a stop sign or a green light. If I get a green light, it's okay for me to proceed. But if anytime, even during working in meditation and connecting with
Yeah,
intuition, calling on that person's name to show me
yeah.
stuff, because that's literally all I get is their name, their first name, um, and and just trusting and calling in spirit and working with energy and trusting in divine. And have I helped on a couple cases? Yes. I've helped on 8 cases. 4 I had to walk away from. 2 I helped in dearly, right down to the last day of the
Wow.
search. And both people were found unmissing, um, but perished. But
Oh, wow.
it still gave the family closure. It still gave the
Yeah,
family
yeah,
answers. Um, but you just got to trust. You got to trust in the visions. You got to trust in what you're being shown. And I think the biggest thing is, like, even when it doesn't make sense, say it, write it.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, it's good. I completely agree with you. So, in mediumship, because you do mediumship, don't you? Would you say, because obviously my spiritual journey is yours, but also it's your opinion, rightly or wrongly, people will disagree with you. That's cool, but
Absolutely.
it's your opinion. You know, do you think the devil's always in the detail when you're doing mediumship? Is it telling that family member something that they would know that you could not possibly know to a certain extent, or description of what they're showing you? And do you think some mediums are
My
too
client,
Gemini?
when my clients come to me, they tell me absolutely nothing. I
Yeah,
don't want to fed information. I want to trust team.
yeah,
So when I work with spirit and I'm working on a mediumship, I I literally just put my trust in spirit. I ask spirit to show me um evidentiary messages of
yeah.
something only my client and they would know.
What do
Because I
you
feel
see? Do
like
you see images?
I see, so I can see spirit, I can hear spirit, I can feel spirit, I can smell spirit, and I can taste spirit. Those are the clairs that I use to
Yeah.
connect to spirit.
Okay, because obviously when I do my mediumship, they show me images of what, and sometimes it's very difficult to decipher what they mean until you tell the person. They go, yeah. But
Well,
do you find,
it's
yeah,
because when you're doing it when it comes to images, because I can connect that way as well.
yeah,
That's in spirit, right?
yeah,
Um, when I do it that way, it's like playing charades, the old game of charades. So you're playing
yeah,
charades with a body of light.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
they're going to show you something, and then you have to, inside your head, inside your heart, inside your mind, using your third eye as well, but go through different words to try and
yeah,
figure out what they're showing. When spirit
yeah,
gives me something more than once, that
yeah,
locks it in. So if I was doing a reading one day on a client, and they kept showing me Odie, like Odie the dog from Garfield,
yeah,
but they
yeah, yeah.
kept going O and D, and I was like, "The hell is this?" Because
Oh no, yeah,
traditionally, O and D represented addiction and overdose,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but they kept taking it, putting it together, and pulling it apart, putting it together, pulling it apart. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, did your loved one pass from an overdose? And she said, no. And I said, okay, well, he keeps saying, I knew it was male. I said, he keeps saying OD, 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 OD. But then he all of a sudden pipes up and goes, bro, like as if he was excited. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
like, now he's just throwing in bro and Odie. What the hell? And she goes, his name was Brody.
Oh, I see. You see, there you go. Sometimes you just got to work it out, haven't you? It can be difficult. Do you
Absolutely.
So do you, that's really important. That detail that you just did was really important.
Yeah.
Do you feel, in your own opinion, that some mediums that you don't that you watch or see are too generalized?
Too generalized?
Yeah, as in, I've got Uncle Albert here. He's sitting in the chair. He's
Mm-hmm.
where and I'll give you another example. When I'm not mentioning any names, I'm not going to out anybody.
But
But
here's the thing. Here, yes, I do feel like it's very generalized. I feel like if you are truly connecting within the first 2 minutes, you should be already giving messages. You should already be giving things. There's 3 points to any true, authentic mediumship, and this is
okay,
what it is. Number one, identification. Who are you connecting to? Is it
yeah,
mother, father, sister, brother? Are you getting a name? Give that name. Okay.
yeah,
Even if it sounds like, starts with, whatever.
yeah,
Then you go to validation. Validation is when you give a message that only that person and them would
yeah,
know, a way to
yeah,
identify who you're communicating to, maybe a description of what they look like. And then the
yeah,
last part of any mediumship is a message of love. Why are they
yeah,
coming through to talk to you right now?
yeah,
Obviously, there's something going on with you in your life, or they just want to talk to you about what they're experiencing, let you know
yeah.
that they're okay, and that they're on the other side. If those 3 points are not in a mediumship, you are not getting an authentic, genuine mediumship.
So if somebody books with you for mediumship, what do you ask their name, don't you?
Yeah, well, obviously, I get their name because it's booked through my website. So yeah,
Yeah. So do you ask for a full name? Just
it's whatever. When they register,
yeah,
it because they're paying online, so it's done
yeah,
that way. It says
yeah,
their name and all that. So I
yeah,
get their name, I get their email, and I get their phone number. That's it.
yeah,
First name,
yeah,
last name, email, phone number. I don't have time. First of all, I do about 100 to, well, I used to do 180 readings a month. I'm now doing about 75 to 100 readings a month. Um, I don't have time, and I'm teaching and running courses. I don't have time to like
yeah.
Google someone.
No, no,
Number
no. I know
one.
that. Yeah,
Number two, Googling takes a lot of time and information, and it does a disservice to me and to you.
yeah, yeah. Totally, yeah,
I'm trusting my team. I'm trusting your team.
yeah. So you've done all this and I suppose what I'm because we're going to have to come to an end soon because otherwise we could talk for hours. But you've done
Absolutely.
all this. You're doing your coaching. You do that. But I know and you know that some days we dip, don't we? Even as mediums, as psychics, all those things, we're empathic people, we still
It's
dip. And I've
called
seen you
called
a few
burnout.
weeks, a
It's
couple of weeks ago,
burnout.
and you were like, "Do you know what? I don't know what's going on, but I'm not feeling it at the minute." How do you deal
Yeah.
with that? Do you just take
It
a break,
scares
take
me.
some time out?
That
Yeah,
scares me. That
yeah.
is what actually scares me in
And
this life.
it's just a part of being human. It really is, which it is.
Absolutely. But there are those moments, and it's when I get to that burnout mode where I feel disconnect, where I don't feel like I can connect to spirit, where I can't
Yeah,
hear spirit, where I can't feel spirit, where I don't feel anything. And it's in those moments that actually scare me because
yeah,
that's when I feel like, okay, what's going on? Why all of a sudden are they leaving me? Why all of a sudden can I not hear them? Why can I not connect? What is going on? Is there something wrong with me? Have I screwed up? Have they turned their back on me?
yeah,
Like those thoughts go through your mind. And then when you're in those thoughts, that's when those feelings of doubt, those feelings of
yeah.
giving up, those feelings of walking away, selling out all your stuff, going back to work for man, and no longer able to trust or even trust in yourself, and losing
Yeah.
that is one of the hardest things to go to.
Totally agree with you. Yeah, totally agree. So, Tamara, this has been your spiritual journey so far. And thank you so much for being so honest, open, and just lovely about your whole life and what you've had to been through and where you're in such a good place now. Now, before you go, we've got the top 10 of things you do and don't believe in, right?
Oh,
So, number one on
yes.
my list, are you ready? Now, we want to know why, yes or no, either way. You don't get away
Okay.
with that. Either. Number one on my list, do you believe in demons, yes or no?
No.
Okay, explain.
I don't believe in demons. I believe in entities. I believe they are negative energies. And I
Right.
believe that I just don't believe in demonic control. I don't believe someone can be taken over. I do believe
Okay.
in attachments, but I
Yeah.
believe you still have free will just as much as spirit has free will, just as much as darkness has free will. You can't have dark without the light.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're basically saying there can be negative energies out there. Okay,
I just
that's
don't
cool. I
call
get that. But
I don't
demons,
call it.
no. But negative energies, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Number two. Do you believe in Fae, the fairies?
Yes.
Why? You can say
Oh,
no if you
hey,
want to.
hey, no. Yes, I believe in them because I'm a girl at the end of the day, and fairies, unicorns, gnomes. That's why. But also, I remember being, I don't know, like 8, and at my friends' grandparents' farms, and seeing little tiny things flying around like that were shaped like people with wings, that were flying around a barn. And so I have
That's
to
right.
believe
No,
that
no.
those are pixies
That's
or
fine.
fairies.
I love that. I love that. Number three. Do you believe in aliens?
Yes,
Why?
because they're walking amongst us.
How? You
What?
have to give. You can't just leave me with that thought and not give me a how.
Because there has to be more than this life. There has to be other existence, other realms,
Yeah.
other places, other planets. I mean, we wouldn't have, I don't know, 7 planets, 8 planets, 9 planets. I don't know how many planets we have anymore. Because it keeps changing. But there's
Yeah.
gotta be more. And there's just so many things that happen where certain people experience certain things, and
Yeah.
it I can't just
That's fine.
plot
No,
it
no,
up
no.
to
That's
be.
good enough. No, I agree with you. Okay, number four on your list. Do you believe in Atlantis?
Yes, I believe in
Expand.
anything. I believe in anything under the sea
Why?
because we've evolved over time, and there's
Okay,
proof.
no, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah. Okay. Number five. Do you believe in ley lines? You know what ley lines are, don't you?
No, what
You get
describe
those
it?
the
What is
lines of
something else?
energy that goes through the earth, like through Stonehenge. Those they're
Yeah,
called ley lines.
yeah,
Spiritual energy.
yes.
Energy of you believe in
Scientific
those,
proof.
yeah?
Though. Scientific proof
Yeah.
of that. Absolutely.
And do you think they can enhance somebody's energy as well?
I believe if you go to certain places in the world that these places exist, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Do you number six? Do you believe in curses?
No,
Okay.
no.
Why?
Just there's light magic and there's dark magic, and I attach that
Yeah.
to dark magic. I don't believe that we're cursed. I believe that everything is a life lesson. We chose it.
Oh, okay. But do you believe that somebody could give bad luck to somebody else if they wanted to?
No, because luck is something you create.
Okay. So when you see this is okay. So do you think okay, like voodoo or hoodoo is used? Do you think voodoo can be used in bad ways or
Yes.
witchcraft? That's what I
Yes.
mean. Can they?
Yeah.
But is that about karma then? If you're going to do it to somebody else, it's going to come back on you tenfold eventually. Right. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
I don't believe in
Okay.
revenge, but I believe karmic
Yeah.
debts
Yeah.
over time, over families, lineage, things like that. Absolutely.
Okay. Number seven. You're going to say yes to this. Do you believe in spirits and ghosts? It's a bit of a
Obviously.
given. Yeah.
Not ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts.
Okay. Explain why.
I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in spirits. I believe that we are all here experiencing things. I believe in entities. That to me would be ghost, but not the idea of like ghost hunters. I think I because I've never experienced ghost hunting, so I think it's something I would have to research and experience in order to believe in it. Because everything
Okay.
I do, I've
That,
done my own research
yeah.
on.
No, I totally understand that. That's no, I get that. Number eight. Do you believe in angels?
Absolutely.
Have you got a
I,
guardian angel?
I would not be here if it wasn't for angels. I would not be alive if it wasn't for angels. I
Okay.
believe that what entered my house in 2016 were 12
Yeah.
angels. I
Cool.
saw
You
it with
said
my
that at
own
the beginning.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 9 on the list. Do you believe in past lives?
Yes.
Why?
Because I have fears today, and I know that those fears are related to past lives. I've dreamt about it. I
Do you know
watch
any
myself.
past lives?
I astral travel. So I have a tendency to visit other places or past lives. I believe that the one thing I saw was that I was a snake charmer in a past life. And that's why today, and I was killed by the snake. That's why today I'm petrified of snakes. Absolutely fearful of them. Don't want to see them. Won't watch a movie with them on. I'll turn it off. Can't do it.
When you say astral travel, now you see, I've tried to do that before, and I just can't get the bloody hang of it. Because
It's
obviously you're going
meditation.
into sleep, and then you're.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah.
key?
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It's the willingness to let go and to trust. I have been some of my clients in my early days of starting my when I first started my business actually would message and book readings with me because apparently I'd visit them in dreams and
Oh
tell them
wow.
they have to reach out. I don't remember any of this, and that's most of the
Hmm.
time what happens with astral traveling is you have no actual physical memory. You
Recollection of
have
it. Yeah.
glimpses, visions, or like flashes of things that
Yeah.
you're like, what was that? Or what happened? Um, but actual physical remembrance, I don't remember half the stuff I've done. I do remember dream states, like
Yeah.
REM state, and then I remember nothingness. And then
So
waking up and having feeling this change over me.
on the dream stage, if you dream and remember your dream, what does that mean to you?
That's a message. That's a download from spirit.
And how do you interpret that message? What do you look for? Is it something that stands out in
I
the
write
dream, or
it
is
down.
it? Pardon?
I write it down, and if the dream continues or
Yeah.
different things get added to the same dream, then that is a
Yeah.
150% some kind of download, some kind of leveling up. There's something
Yeah.
taking place, and I just have to trust what I'm seeing, and I write it down, and I watch how it repeats, and I watch what's added, and then I tell the story to myself of what I think it represents.
Okay. Last one, number 10. This is the
Oh
biggie.
God.
This is the
Oh
big
Lord.
one. This is my favorite one because I believe in this. This one is a biggie. Do you believe in Bigfoot, Sasquatch? Z- uh, it's not funny. It's a big one. It's the biggest one on the list.
Okay, do I believe in
Cryptozoology. Do you believe in
Bigfoot?
Sasquatch, Bigfoot? You live in Canada. Come on.
Do I believe in Bigfoot and Sasquatches? Do I believe in the Ogopogo, the Loch Ness monster, all that?
No, 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 not all them. They're not. They are non-relevant. Do you believe in Bigfoot or Sasquatch? I don't give a monkeys
Yeah.
about them. You
Yes.
do. Why?
Yes.
Just to please me? Or
There's
was that just?
evidence. There's been evidence. They just haven't
Oh yeah,
seen
I
it.
know.
There's
Okay.
been evidence.
So
I mean, like everything to me, if I can see evidence of it, of course I'm going to believe in it.
okay. So
Believing
on
it's
your top,
real, though.
yeah,
Like, not that I've physically seen things, but I mean, come on, dude. I can't believe in aliens and not believe in friggin' Bigfoot.
I totally agree with you. When people say they don't believe in Bigfoot, you're mad, all of you. You watch. Anyway,
I
so
mean,
here's
but here's another thing. There are a
yeah,
lot of men out there that are hairy as F. So they're a descendant of Bigfoot. I'm just saying.
yeah. You see, they all need a good waxing. So here's the thing. Out of your top 10 things you do and don't believe tomorrow, your list, you had 8 yeses and 2 nos. The 2 nos were on curses and on demons, but we established this is different thinking on that. So if anybody's got a question for tomorrow on my side, please come over to this side. And please, if you've got a question for tomorrow, time is now to ask tomorrow. Any questions? Go ahead. Let's see what comes up. If you guys
Oh
have got any
Lord.
questions tomorrow, oh Lord,
Oh Lord.
anything for tomorrow. You might not get anything. You never know. Oh, they're thinking. Oh, Deb said just want to say she wants to say thank you for sharing your story.
Aw, thank you. You're welcome. Is that it?
No,
Am
just
I
wait to
getting
see if
all
there's any
stuck?
questions next. Well, I have a question for you. Where does the whole buying decks end? Where's this going to end?
At 366.
Why? Why 366?
Because there
One
are
for every day of the year.
okay, so there are 365 days a year, except for every 4 years we have a leap year.
Yeah.
So hence I need 366. So I'll have one deck that'll go to the very top of the shelf, will never be used unless it's every 4 years. Okay.
You won't stop there. You know you won't stop.
I will. I will.
So,
Actually,
no, you won't.
no, it's
You
written
won't.
down. It's actually written
No,
down out loud on
because
my fridge.
you'll write it down, and then some pretty deck will come out. You're like,
No,
oh.
no, because here's the thing. What I can do is if there's a deck on there that I eventually say don't like, obviously I'll have to let it go as a giveaway. And then that gives room for another one to come in. So
That's such a
there's
loophole.
ways
That's
around it.
unbelievable.
There are clauses to the clause.
Massive loophole. Massive loophole. Okay, Tamara, thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on my spiritual journey. It's been a fascinating story of just a journey which is phenomenal, and how you've are now in a place where you're doing what you want to do and living life. You're happy, and you're teaching everybody else how good you are at what you do. This is your opportunity, Tamara. In that camera there you're looking from, this is your opportunity to tell the people on my side and your side where they can find you, what you're doing, where you're going forward. Tell them what you want. It's your turn. Go for it.
All right. So you can find me by visiting www.readingsbytamara.ca. You can learn more about my story there, even on the website. I do coaching, teaching, Reiki, all that. You can find out all that information. You can also find me on Instagram at Rise Up with Tamara. You can find me on Facebook at Spiritually Guided Readings by Tamara Palmer. Where am I going in spring? I'm moving to Edmonton. That's my next step. So I'm moving. I'm getting a house. I'm going to be teaching there. And every day is a day to learn and grow. And I can't wait to go on this adventure, not only with myself and my team, but with all of you. And thank you, as always, Matt, for being so welcoming and loving and encouraging and giving me my butt kicking when I need to hear it. And I'm afraid to hear it. So
You're more than
this,
welcome.
by the way, this is my first ever interview, y'all. This is my
You've
first,
done
I've
very well.
never done an interview in my
It's
life.
been a
So this
pleasure.
is it.
Thank you. So, Tamara, thank you again from the bottom of my heart for doing my spiritual journey. So far, we might come back to you another time. You never know. But I'm going to let you go and let you get on with what you got to do for today. Tamara, love and best to you. Thank you so much. Everybody give Tamara a follow. And part one of her spiritual journey is completed so much. Tamara, you go now. I'm going to let you go. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
There we go, guys. So that was Tamara's my spiritual journey. That's an emotional one. That really was. Hopefully we'll be on YouTube, Kelly. I'm having major problems. I haven't landed up Landry's yet or James's yet. Major problem uploading, but I will try. Yeah, really inspirational story. I mean, it just shows you that in the depths of your lowest ebb, there's always something there in the spiritual world to get you through it and to find that strength to carry on. And bless her, she has. And kudos to her. She's doing really well. I mean, she's written 2 books. I mean, yeah, I wish I had her strength sometimes to quit my job and just do Reiki full time. Not quite yet, though. Excuse me. Yeah, so remember, guys, Saturday night, live ghost hunt from church. There will be another spiritual journey. Kelly's definitely coming on Monday. Tarot Medium Kelly. Hopefully will be coming on Monday for my spiritual journey. Mad Paranormal's coming on soon. Who else? Judith Miller. Hopefully coming on soon. But what a lovely story, yeah. Kudos to her. She's done really well in her life. Yeah. So, guys, I'm going to go. I'm going to say good night. Thank you. Good night. Love and blessings to you all. And I'll see you Saturday night if we have a signal. Matt, Danny, trapped in the church, locked in overnight, ghost hunt extraordinaire. Judith, Kelly, you'll be interesting as well. Don't say you're not interesting. Yeah, so definitely. Hi, Paddy. How you doing? So Saturday night, I will see you then, locked in the church. It's time to go and find some evidence of real paranormal activity or nothing at all. Let's see what happens. Here, live, 22nd of October. Saturday. I don't know what time yet, about 7ish. I'll put up a thing. So yeah, take care, everybody. Love and best to you all. Thank you very much for hanging around for my spiritual journey. Always interesting. Can always learn something new. Oh, bye, Pat. Sorry, man. I'm off now. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.